really now focusing on, what is holistic planned grazing, and where did it evolve from? I know Savory, once he'd come up with some of his ideas around grazing animals and their relationship with predators and how they fitted into a whole functioning environment, was still seeing huge problems with management and farmers and their families, where farmers were going broke and things weren't working, even though they might be doing some great stuff for their land. In terms of whole life values, weren't really working. So he went around looking for something that could manage complexity. And let's face it, farming's got to be one of the most complex businesses there is. You're at the cold front, you're out there with the weather, temperature, humidity, storms, fires, droughts, floods, and all those microorganisms in the soil. We are managing them. So again, Alan Savory, fellow Zimbabwean, and developed a decision-making process called holistic management, which is what we're rolling out. And a component of that is holistic planned grazing. And again, as I said earlier, the idea behind that was to manage the huge complexity that land managers have to deal with, especially when we start dealing with animals. We're using the animals as a tool to sequester carbon, to build biodiversity, to improve the water cycle, to make creeks flow clear again. And so we're using that animal as a tool, but it needs to be at the right place, at the right time, for the right reasons, and often with the right behavior. And one of the problems with livestock as a tool, you can't just go and take them and park them in the garage and turn the key and switch them off overnight. They're out there 24 hours a day doing stuff. And either they're improving environments, depending on the way they're managed, or they're destroying environments, depending on the way we manage them. And again, it's our management that we need to get a handle on, because those animals are part of that environment and have been for literally 300 million years. The thing that's changed is the management. So again, just the complexity of managing land and managing farms. There are so many factors. We often fill up a couple of sheets of factors that influence management of land and management of stock, from predators to worms to flooding. Your wedding anniversary. Where do you want to be when your children's birthday is happening? Do you want to be in the yards processing animals, or do you want to be down at the creek having a picnic? So all of these things, operations, medical emergencies will impact your management on the land. And how do we as humans manage this huge complexity, which is not only massive, but also dynamic, constantly changing? This year we have rain, next year we don't. This year we have floods, next year we have drought. How do we manage that dynamic complexity that we're dealing with? Because we have to. And what I find, and it's just part of being human, I often ask people if they stood at the race and I asked them to count the cows, the heifers, and the calves coming down the race simultaneously. They can't do it. I can't do it. I can't stand on the side of the highway and count utes, buses, and trucks coming down the highway simultaneously. That's just three things. And as a manager of animals and farms, we're dealing with way more than just three things, and we can't do three. So that's where Savory went and tied up with the British military at Sandhurst and utilized one of their processes to help simple soldiers make decisions in stressful battle conditions. One of the first components that Alan Savory had to change was in the military. Literally, the decision had to be made and implemented within seconds, because that's battle conditions. Whereas with grazing, Alan had to extend it over, weeks, months, or possibly even years. So that developed into our holistic planned grazing, which, as I said, allows animals to be used as a tool, a positive tool, and allows us to manage this huge complexity of managing land, managing animals, and managing people. Of course, we don't manage farms without connecting with other people, and whether it's just your family or it's your suppliers, your customers, they all form part of that complexity of decision making. So Grazing management and holistic grazing management allows us to manage complexity. It allows us to get the animals to the right place, for the right reasons, and reduces stress not only on your animals, but also on yourself. You have a plan and you can work towards